All right, perfect. Well, welcome once again, everyone. This is your Getting Started with Practice Better webinar. This is part one. I'm Jen Miller, Community Manager with Practice Better, and this is my colleague, Sam. Sam is our Customer Success Specialist. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Jen. Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone. So in our session today, part one of Getting Started, we're going to cover a couple of things. So just want to review that first, and then we'll kind of dive in. So we're going to show you how to set up your first service, how to set up your availability for that service, test drive your booking from the client's view, as well as we're going to touch on how you can integrate some of your favorite tools with Practice Better. So something like Google Calendar, Zoom, that kind of thing. Before we share our screen, just wanted to touch on a couple of housekeeping items. So please feel welcome to use the chat for questions that you have as we go along. We will get to as many as we can. And also know that there are many resources available for you as support and follow up from our session today, which we'll review at the end. And also this is being recorded, so you're going to get a copy of the replay, as well as when we send that replay out to you, we're going to include links to help articles for all of the features we've covered. So you'll sort of have a little bit of a guide as a takeaway from everything we touched on today. Okay, amazing. So, okay, let's go ahead and share our screen. And while you're doing that, I also wanted to put out a question to everyone before we dive in, is who has already started to set up and use Practice Better, and who might be brand new to the platform? So let us know in the chat where you're at. Okay, so Nikki has started already, using for a couple of months, brand new. Just joined yesterday. Okay, getting started. Yeah, so it sounds like it's a bit of a range, but a lot of you are quite new to Practice Better, which is great. And one thing I'll just mention is if you haven't already set your chat to everyone, I see many people have their chat set on hosts and panelists. If you can just switch that over to everyone, that'll just make sure that everyone else joining the session today can see your questions and comments. Okay, amazing. Yeah, so just getting started, pretty new, amazing. Yeah, okay, great. So this session, like I said, is designed to help you get started on Practice Better. We have a couple key things that we're covering that I went over there. And then we've also got a part two to this webinar, to the Getting Started webinar, which I'll share the registration link if you haven't already signed up for that one. That one's on Thursday at the same time. Okay, so just wanted to mention that as well. All right, wonderful. So where we are going to start today is with setting up your first service, okay? So Sam's going to show us how to do this in a moment, but your services are what you offer your clients, right? And how you'll work with them. So your services in Practice Better can be set up for individuals, so one-on-one sessions, or for groups, even groups of clients, depending on who you work with and what you offer. So a service could be something like a discovery call, an initial consultation, a group coaching session, anything sort of along those lines. So as you'll see in a moment, when you're setting up your services, you can get really specific with the settings for your service. You can include payment, how you want to take payment, how you want to conduct the service, maybe in person or virtually, and so on. And really what we want to highlight here is when setting up your service, this is important to take your time on and get it set up in the way that you think will really create that great experience for your client. Often when they're booking, this first service with you, maybe an initial consultation, that's sort of the first maybe interaction or feeling they're going to get from you and your business. And so to have things set up in a really streamlined way is beneficial, for both you and your client. So yeah, so Sam, let's take a look at how we can set up our first service.
Thanks, Jen. So as you've mentioned, services are a great way to structure your encounters with clients. So you can create group services, which allow you to schedule sessions with multiple clients or individual sessions for one-on-one encounters. So for today, we're going to focus on setting up an individual one. So to do so, we would first navigate to My Practice at the top. And when that expands, we're going to go ahead and click on My Services. So you'll see that I already have a few services set up here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the fast action icon or the red plus button in the bottom right hand corner. And when this expands, I'm going to click on add service. And then here I can select the one-on-one or group, but because we're doing a one-on-one service, I'll select that option. And then the add service window will open where I can kind of configure how I'd like this to work. So because a pretty common encounter that we see are like initial consultations, that's how I'm going to configure this. So I'll set this up as an initial consultation. And below, you can also set the duration. So like how long you would like the service to run, basically how long your clients can expect to be speaking with you. So I'm going to make this about 30 minutes, which I'll put here. And there are also other options that I want to highlight, such as adding a description, which you can put here. This kind of will allow you to outline like what your service entails, what your customers can expect from the service. And then below, you can also add a terms and conditions if you want, which allows you to display things such as a cancellation policy or a disclaimer policy to your clients when they're booking the service. So we'll scroll down a little bit. And if we go to payment options here, you can configure how payment's going to work for the service. So you can set a fixed fee, which will be the total cost of your service, or an ongoing payment if you plan to structure this as an indefinite membership and charge clients on a recurring basis. So I'm going to leave this as a fixed fee because it's a one-off payment. And underneath the fee here, I'm going to put that it costs $100. So you can also configure how the payment will be collected. If you want clients to enroll first and pay later, you can select the hide fee or display fee option here, which will allow them to book without paying. If you'd like the client to be charged automatically, you can select suggest to pay at booking or require to pay at booking. So for this initial consultation, I want to, I'm just going to leave this as display fee, no payment required, so they don't have to pay, but they are aware of what the fee is. And then below, you'll see the service availability option. So this allows you to configure how you will be seeing your clients. And this will be presented to them when they're booking the session. So I'm going to go ahead and select online video chat, which is right here, as I only want this session to be conducted virtually. This will book the session using either our built-in telehealth or Zoom, depending on your default. And if you wanted, you could choose to offer this in phone or in person or all three options. So I'll scroll down a little bit further, and there are a bunch of other options right here under the booking options window. So this allows you to do things such as configure buffer times and allowing double booking. So a lot of kind of really cool ways that you can kind of cater and customize these services and make sure that the scheduling works for you. So for these ones, I would definitely recommend checking out our help article called Working with Services, because it goes into detail about what each one of these settings cover and how you can best configure them. So for now, I'm just going to leave these all as their defaults. And then now if I scroll down just a little bit further, we'll go down to underneath booking restrictions, which is right here. So this is a very important option because this allows you to select whether you want to have the service public or private. So public means that your clients can request sessions on your public booking page, which we're going to show shortly. Private is meant for practitioners who prefer to schedule their own sessions and will only allow clients to book if the session is part of a package or when the link to the session is shared directly to the client. So because I want the client to have the option to actually book the session on their own, I'm going to go ahead and just leave this as public right here. So at the very bottom here, you can also change the email templates that are sent by default by the system on our Plus plan, as well as below you can edit the session reminders that your clients receive if you want them to receive them on a custom schedule. So the last thing I want to highlight here is if you scroll right back to the top, there's this advanced options tab. So this has some more in-depth settings you can set up for your service. This includes enabling options to capture a client's credit card as part of the booking process, setting up payment plans and deposits, and adding booking page forms. And booking page forms are really handy because they allow you to have clients complete forms before they're able to book the session with you, which allows you to capture any paperwork or agreements or anything like that that you want them to see. So that would essentially be it, pretty straightforward. So now all I have to do is go ahead and select save at the top. And you'll get a prompt here where you can do a few other options when you create the service. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and select done. And now that I'm finished, we'll see that my initial consultation shows up with all of my other services. So there's a few other things I want to discuss here. If you click on the three dots icon beside the service, there's this little option here, which is the invite to book option. So this will basically send your client an invitation to book the service. And when you're selecting this, you can actually customize the message that is sent to them and even suggest a date if you want them to aim to book at a specific date. You can actually suggest a specific date for them to book. Another thing that I think is a huge time saver is this duplicate option here. Basically, if you have a lot of kind of similar types of services where you're only changing things like the name and duration and a couple other settings, you can select duplicate and it will pull over all of your service settings and allow you to just kind of make quick changes to it. So that would be it. And now that I'm done, I have created my first service.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, there's a couple of questions that I wanted to just call out. I answered a few of them in the chat, but Nicole had asked, what plan do you need to be able to have the ongoing payments option? So deposits and recurring or ongoing payments are available on our professional plan and up. So just wanted to call that piece out. And then another question from Renee was under the terms and conditions drop down. She didn't see anything in her drop down, and that's because you will need to create your own terms and conditions form in the forms section first before you'll see anything in that drop down. So once you create your terms and conditions, then you'll see it available in that drop down option. Okay. And there was a comment from Bonnie around which features are available on the Pro plan only. If there are certain ones that you're wondering about, let us know. We'll do our best to call out as we go along what features are available on which plan types. But if there's certain ones you're wondering about, just let us know in the chat. Okay. All right. Wonderful. So we're going to shift into our next section here, which is sort of the next really important step in, getting your services set up, which is your availability. So this is going to help you determine when you're available to actually meet with your clients, right? So we've set up the service itself, but now we want to make sure that our calendar and availability is all ready. So with your availability, this ensures that clients will only be able to book certain sessions with you in those windows of availability that you set up, which we're going to walk you through in a moment. And they won't be able to book a session outside of that availability window unless you manually approve it. So it just really helps you with that management of your calendar and ensures that you don't have, people booking when you don't want them to be booking and having to go back and forth to reschedule and so on. You can really get, granular with your availability settings to make sure that it is working, exactly how you want it to work. So as an example, let's say maybe you take your initial consultations, like that service we just set up, maybe only from Monday to Thursday, and you want to keep, say, Friday open, and you don't want to book any initial consults on a Friday. Or another example could be, maybe there are certain sessions that you want to only have take place virtually or on the phone, and then other services that maybe require your clients to be in person with you. If you have, an in-person office, you can also determine that within your availability too. So so let's Sam take a look at how we can get that availability set up and some of the important settings with that.
Thanks, Jen. So Bernadette had a good question about can I send a public invite for marketing? So in the section after this, we're actually going to be discussing how you can get a link to that you can share publicly and you can send to clients. But for now, we'll do the availability, as you mentioned, Jen. So now that we've created the service, we now need to create availability so that your clients can book the service. So we'll go ahead and at the top, we'll click on My Practice. And when this window opens, this time we're going to click on the My Availability option, which is right here. So as you kind of outlined, Jen, we're going to create this as an availability slot for the service we created, the initial consultation, because I want to offer this Monday to Thursday from 9 to 5 p.m. So to do so, we'll go ahead and select the fast action icon again in the bottom right-hand corner. When this opens, we'll have the option to do a one-on-one or group availability. So we're going to do one-on-one services. So from here, the edit availability window will open and I can select when I would like the service to be available. So I'm going to leave this as 9 to 5 as it is now. And I'm going to go ahead and select the start date to begin next Monday. So that'll be Monday, May 23rd. And this is basically the date when the availability will be presented to your clients starting from. So a very important option here is this option here, which says this time slot recurs. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this. And if you enable this, it means that the availability slot will appear on a recurring basis. You can customize this to repeat daily, weekly, or monthly, but I want this to be available every Monday to Thursday. So I'm going to leave this as repeats weekly. So it's repeats weekly and repeats every 1 week. And then when it says repeats on here, I'm going to go ahead and expand this, and you can select which days of the week you'd like it to be available. So I'll go ahead and select Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'll just click out of it. And you'll see here that now all 4 of those days are available. So now I've basically configured, this is me configuring the time, the date, and the recurrent schedule. So the very last thing I'll need to do now is to enable the service availability. So this controls what services are available for clients to book at this time. So basically you can have different available slots on different days with different services available. So for now, I only want to have my initial consultation available. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. And you'll notice that it defaults to online video chat because that's how we had configured it earlier. However, if I offer this either in person or by phone, I could enable this here as well. And one other thing to note is that anytime you add a new service after you've created the availability slot, you just have to come back here, open up the service availability, and just enable it so that it's available for your clients to book. So pretty straightforward. And now that that's done, all I need to do is go ahead and select save. And basically my availability slot has been created, and clients now have the ability to request sessions with me at this time.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. So yeah, really simple to get that availability set up, and, really helpful that you can have that repeat. So you don't have to be constantly, updating your availability if you do have a regular schedule, right? And I saw a question in the chat from Kristen. How can you stop the repeat? So in the example, when you were off on holiday. Yeah, so that's a great question, Kristen. So what you can actually do is add a personal event. So if you wanted to block a certain day or part of a day off, you can create a personal event to do that. But we're also at the end going to talk about the integration with Google Calendar, which if you use Google Calendar, that will, it'll all sync from there. So if you're blocked in Google Calendar, it won't be allowed for booking and Practice Better, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So you kind of have 2 options there, creating the personal event or integrating with Google Calendar to block off time. Okay. All right. And Sandy asked, will you be showing what it looks like from the client side? So we're actually next going to look at how you can test drive your booking process and see what it would look like from the client side to book with you. So we will do that in a moment. Shannon asked if we integrate with Calendly. We don't integrate with Calendly. No, just Google Calendar. Okay. All right, wonderful. So yeah, let's shift into test driving this booking from kind of the client's view and how that'll look when the client books with us. So once you have set up both your service and the availability for that service, we really recommend that you do this next step, which is testing out your booking process, right? So this is going to be what it looks like when you've shared a booking link publicly to maybe could be a current client or a prospect, like the question earlier around your marketing process. And this is a really great piece to do when you're getting set up because it gives you insight into what your client's going to see on there, and obviously making sure that you have set everything up correctly, that it looks, exactly how you want it to, and you just feel extra comfortable, with everything before you send out those booking links to clients. So let's take a look at that now, Sam, how we can actually test drive our booking link and see what that would look like on the client side.
Thanks, Jen. So there's a few questions I want to answer here. So one from Renee about if you upgrade to a new plan, like from the starter to the pro plan during your billing cycle. So how that works is basically if you upgrade partway through your billing cycle, your charges will be prorated. So we have a great help article. It's called Understanding Your Statement. just search our help center for that, and that will tell you exactly how the structure of the billing works in terms of when you upgrade your plan partway through your billing cycle. Kirsten had asked, how can you stop the repeat? So in the example, when you're on a holiday, so you have a few options for that. You can set an end date for your availability slot here. You would just expand this to select an end date. But if it's more for like a holiday, what I would recommend doing in that case is you can create a personal event, which basically blocks off time in your calendar. So you can just search our help article for blocking off unavailable time in your calendar, and that will show you how you can basically stop clients from requesting sessions when you're out of the office. And then we had a few questions about time zones. So how it works, we do have lots of practitioners who have clients who access it from different time zones. So how that works is when a client books a session, it will default to the time. If they're not an active client, it will default to the time zone of their device. So if I'm booking on my iPhone and I'm in a different time zone, it's going to default to that time zone. And then they'll receive session reminders in their own time zone. And then once they've activated their account, they actually have the option to configure their time zone as well. So yeah, it makes it pretty streamlined and easy for being able to basically do everything you need to in terms of booking. So yeah, I think that was it for now. And then I think Colleen here had a question, how can I link this calendar to my website? So we'll be discussing actually that, I think right now, actually. So what we'll do is we're going to, as we said, test drive this from the client's view. So as you mentioned, Jen, this option is great for getting an idea of how the booking process will look from the client's perspective. So to quickly check on the booking process, let's review booking the service we created earlier. So to do this, we'll go ahead and we'll click on My Practice. And when it expands this time, we'll click on My Services again. And then when we do so, we'll just scroll down a little bit to our initial consultation. And this time we're going to select the three dots icon again. But this time we're going to do this share link option here, which this goes back to your question earlier, Bernadette, about sharing a link like publicly. So this allows you to actually get a link for your service. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on Visit Page here. And when we do so, my new tab will open, and you'll see here that basically this is what it's going to look like from the client's perspective. So basically your clients will open the page. They'll have the option to select a time to book with you. So they would just select a date and time, which is based on the availability we created earlier. So see here how it's Monday to Thursday. These are the availability slot that we had set up. So your client can go ahead and let's just say I want to book for Monday. I can click on Monday, and then I can select an available time. So I want to do it at 11 a.m. And then I'll go ahead and select next at the bottom. And then here is where your client can enter their contact information, and they would basically be able to go through the booking and finish it. So one thing we would always recommend is creating a test client account to try this for yourself. A test client is something that I personally always recommend because it allows you to create a client account and basically browse the platform from their perspective. So that way, if a client ever reaches out to you about how to access something or something along those lines where they just need assistance kind of navigating the platform, you using a test client will allow you to see what everything looks like from their perspective. So to learn how to configure this, you can refer to our help article. It's called Setting Up a Test Client. One thing I want to know is while the booking process I just outlined was for one specific service, you can also use your public booking page, which by default will show any services, packages, or programs listed as public. So the option I talked about earlier where we made this initial consultation public, that means this will now display on my public booking page. So to access this, all I need to do is scroll to the top, and I'll click on the gear icon right here at the top of Practice Better. And when this window opens, I'm going to go right down to the very bottom here, and I'm going to click on Share My Link. So right here under Public Booking Pages, I can basically copy this link and open it in a new tab, and can share this link on like my personal website. So for example, I'll often see practitioners have a personal website with a button that says, book now, or click here to book a session with me, and the clients will click here and be directed towards the public booking page. You can also share this on social media, such as Facebook, or just basically anywhere you want clients to be able to access the ability to book sessions with you. And that's kind of how booking the sessions from the client, how everything's going to work from like the client perspective, and how the booking process will work.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. So, all right, I just saw a couple of questions here. I'm just seeing the first one from Maria. So is it possible to integrate your booking system on my website? Yeah, so you can actually, if you just scroll down, I think, Sam, under the booking widget there. So another option is to, and this may be a little more advanced for some people depending on how tech savvy you are, but it's fairly straightforward. If you have a website that you want to actually embed the Practice Better booking widget, you can do so in this section here. So basically you're selecting whether you want to display a booking widget for all of your offerings or just certain services, packages, or programs. And then you're just copying that code that's listed there and embedding that on your website. So that is an option if that's something you'd like to do. And with that, then the client is able to book right on your website wherever you embed that code versus being directed to the Practice Better booking page, which is what we just looked at in that last step there. Okay, so you do have a couple options available to you there. So Bonnie asked, how do I book for someone else? Yeah, so we can show that once more, Sam, if you maybe want to just head back to the services to the initial consultation. There's a couple ways you can do this, but we can show you once again here. So if you, just navigate to the session you'd like to book. So that initial consultation, you can just go book a client and then you can book that in. You would just select the client there and then you're going to go ahead and pick the date and time. Okay, so that's one way to do it. You could also do it from the client's record where you can go in and book it from there as well. Okay. If the client doesn't have an account in Practice Better, how does it work with the booking? Yeah, so using that booking link that we've just shown, the public booking link, that can be used by anyone. They don't have to be a client. So the Sam's just going back here. So you can just share that link out publicly and that will look the same for anyone, even if they're not a client. Okay. All right, wonderful. Great questions. Okay, so we're going to shift into our last section here, which is all about integrating some of your favorite tools with Practice Better. So Practice Better has what we call integrations, and these allow you to set up Practice Better to basically speak to other apps and services that you may use in a really seamless way that just really enhances your experience working with the platform. So these are really easy to set up, as you'll see in a moment. And we're going to look through the list of available integrations, but we want to highlight a couple of key ones that you might want to set up right away. One I called out earlier, Google Calendar. We also have an integration with Zoom, as well as Stripe and Square for payments. So we're going to walk through a couple of those with you now, just to give you that idea of, a few that you may want to set up as you're getting started. So Sam, I'll let you take that away.
Thanks, Jen. So as you outlined, we offer a number of integrations with other platforms that will really allow you to maximize your use of the platform. So to access these, we're going to scroll back to the top here. I'm going to click on the gear icon to expand this. And then towards the middle here, I'm just going to click on this third-party integration option. So when this opens, you'll see all of the external services that we integrate with. And basically, there are a variety of options here. And basically any integration that says link here, like Dropbox, beside it means that it is not currently linked. Whereas any integration that says unlink, like my Google Drive or Google Calendar, is currently linked. So it kind of lets you keep track of which ones you currently have active at the moment. So I'd say one of our most popular integrations is Google Calendar. You can link your Google Calendar to see personal events in your Practice Better calendar and to sync upcoming sessions, reminders, and personal events back to your Google Calendar, allowing them to really kind of communicate pretty seamlessly. So we will also prevent clients from requesting sessions which conflict with the events in your Google Calendar, which I'll show you shortly. So because I've linked my Google Calendar to Practice Better, let's quickly review how we can view these calendar events within Practice Better itself. So to do so, all I would need to do is click on My Schedule at the top, and I will click on My Calendar. So you'll see I have a couple events here for this week that are shaded in light blue here. These are events that have been synced over from my Google Calendar. So if I go ahead and I'll click, like tomorrow I have lunch with Sheila here. So I'll just go ahead and open that up. And you'll notice here that this has a status of busy. So this means that if it overlaps with an availability slot, if it overlaps with an availability slot, it will block off that time from being booked by clients. That means that if a client goes to book a session with me for this day, they will not have the option to book from 12 to 1 p.m. If you ever want a Google Calendar event to not overwrite this, all you need to do is change the event in Google Calendar itself from busy to free. So you basically just log into Google Calendar, open the event there, and change it. There's an option to change it from busy to free. And when you do that, it will no longer overwrite the event. So as you can see, this view is just very handy for like being able to kind of keep track of what you have going on in the day, both personally and with book sessions for clients. So now let's navigate back to the gear icon again. And we're going to go ahead and click on third-party integration one more time. And another one of our more popular integrations, I'd say, is with Zoom, which is below here. And while we do have our own built-in telehealth for sessions, you can opt to use Zoom if you would like to record your sessions, conduct group video sessions, or conduct sessions with potential clients without giving them access to the client portal. So because a client, in order to access our telehealth, they do need access to the portal. If you don't want them to have an active account, you can just do all your meetings in Zoom if you'd like. So please note that you must be on the starter plan for one-on-one Zoom meetings and on the professional plan for group Zoom meetings. So once you have linked Zoom and scheduled a Zoom session, these can be found by navigating to My Schedule, which is at the top here. So we'll scroll right to the top and we'll click on My Schedule. And this time we're going to click on My Bookings, which is right here. So this will show basically all the bookings that you have coming up. So I have a group yoga session here, and it's scheduled for Friday. And the session itself is scheduled via Zoom. So because it's a Zoom session, that means this option here will appear that says Start Zoom Meeting. All you would need to do in order to launch it is just click that button, and then the session will open in Zoom automatically. And then your clients can join the session by logging into their portal and selecting the Join Zoom Meeting option. Theirs will say Join Zoom Meeting, or they can just simply click the Zoom link from the email notification they receive when the session is booked. So the Zoom process is pretty streamlined and is great for if you would prefer to use that for your sessions. So I'll send it back to you now, Jen.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah. So let's head back to the integrations page. And I just wanted to call out a couple of the other ones we have available. But just seeing here a question from Nicole. So we can use Zoom through Practice Better with prospective clients that are not in the client portal as a client. Yeah, exactly, Nicole. So that's one of the, I guess, benefits potentially of integrating with your own Zoom account into Practice Better is that they, as if they're a prospect or not actually a client in the portal yet, they can still conduct that session with you because they can just click the link in the email notification versus having to actually log into the client portal to get that link as they would if it was the Practice Better telehealth opportunity. Okay, that's a great question. A question from, I think that's Bernadette. Will we be talking about taking session notes today? Not in today's session, but that is in our session in part 2. So on Thursday, we're going to be talking about that. Okay. Another question. Yes, Laura, this is being recorded and you will be sent the replay so you can watch that later. Okay. Are there plans to link to Apple? Reggie has asked, and I'm not sure if you're talking, Reggie, about like iCal, like the Apple Calendar, or what in terms of Apple, but we don't have a direct integration with Apple Calendar, but there's a bit of a workaround. So we can share that. That's a help article that walks you through that. So you can find that easily. Okay, so yeah, I do want to talk about a couple of the other integrations here, so that may answer some of your other questions. So one other one I wanted to call out is our integration with Stripe and Square. So you can see that under billing and payments there. And this actually allows you to send invoices and accept payments for your products and services right through Practice Better. So with the Stripe or Square integration, with the Sprout plan, so the free plan, You can send one invoice per month on the free plan, and you could, if you have integrated Stripe or Square, use that to collect that one payment from that one invoice. But otherwise, on the starter plan and up, you can send unlimited invoices, and then you can collect payment using that Stripe or Square integration also right at the time of booking. And so that is really helpful just in terms of, if you don't want to be sending out an invoice to collect payment later, you can actually just have the client pay right at the time of booking if you have Stripe or Square integrated and you're on the starter plan and up. Okay. And Renee asked, are there other payment options? No, so these Stripe and Square are only payment integrations at the moment. Okay, Bernadette asked, can we send a super bill from here? Not from this page, but Practice Better does have the ability to send super bills. So that's something, if you wanted to learn how to do, we have a great help article on that, which you can easily search for. Okay. Do the payment options charge a cost? So Practice Better does not add any additional fees, but it would just be whatever fees are charged regularly by Stripe or Square. So you could look into that and see if that made sense for you, but no additional fees by Practice Better. Okay. All right, so you'll also see supplement dispensaries, so that section right underneath. And I wanted to call this out as well because we have an integration with both FullScript and Wellevate, which are both supplement dispensaries. And these allow you to create protocols and recommendations using products, so supplements right from your dispensary. So if you use FullScript or Wellevate, you can integrate that, and that allows you to actually just create that seamless protocol for your client using those products from your dispensary. So it really just streamlines that process. And those integrations with FullScript and Wellevate are available on our starter plan and app. Okay. Two other ones that I wanted to call out. We have an integration under labs with Rupa Health. This allows you to receive your lab results directly in the Practice Better portal if you use Rupa Health for labs. That's available on our starter plan and up as well. And then at the bottom there, Zapier. So Zapier allows you to connect Practice Better to existing other tools you might use, such as your email marketing platform, maybe like ActiveCampaign or MailChimp. Basically what Zapier does is it allows you to share information from Practice Better to another platform via an automation that's done through Zapier. So that's available on our professional plan and up. But most often I would say our community would use that to share, say, a client's first and last name and email to their email marketing platform in order to have their contacts all in their email marketing platform as well. Okay. So those are a few of the other ones that we have available. Again, some of these are, maybe a little more advanced for where you're at, but we did just want to show what's available. But for sure, what Sam walked us through with the Google Calendar integration and Zoom and so on would be likely something you would look at setting up initially when you're first getting started. Okay. All right, let me just take a peek at our questions here. So we've got about just a couple more minutes and we want to respect your time. So we'll answer a few more questions. All right, so let's see. Karen had asked, how can we use PayPal even though it's not an integration? So Karen, if you wanted to use PayPal, that would all need to be done outside of Practice Better. We don't have an integration there. So what you could do is, if you collected a payment from a client using PayPal, you could just record that payment as paid in Practice Better. So that's an option available to you if you don't use Practice Better's payment opportunities. You can just record that payment and just note where it came from, but it won't actually be integrated with the platform. Okay. Sarah had asked, can you explain how clients and how we manage the telehealth system? Is it a USA or Canadian platform? Not sure if I'm quite clear on your question there, Sarah, but so Practice Better has a built-in telehealth feature, which is, as we've talked about, separate to Zoom. And that allows you to host your one-on-one sessions with clients right in the platform. That is all HIPAA compliant because it is all included in the Practice Better platform. Practice Better is a Canadian company. I'm not sure if that's what you were referring to, but let me know if you want to clarify that question further. So what is Rupa Health? So Rupa Health is a lab company. So you can actually, order your labs through Rupa. They have, they're sort of almost like a dispensary of like a bunch of different lab companies. So if that's something that you do in your business, then you can take a look at Rupa Health and see if that's a fit for you. And you can actually integrate that right with Practice Better. So NutriQ, Kristen. So yeah, you'll see under forms there's also an integration with NutriQ. So that is basically a nutritional assessment questionnaire. So if you're someone that uses that service, then you can link that to Practice Better as well. And you can send that form and receive completed forms with that integration right into Practice Better. Okay. Are there template forms available for terms and conditions, nutrition intake forms, etc.? Yeah, so with the forms piece, we do have templates, but we will in our part 2 be going through forms. So on Thursday, if you're signed up for our part 2 session, we will be going through everything regarding forms. So we'll talk more about that then. Okay, wonderful. All right, so I think we will kind of bring things to a close here. We want to respect your time today. We hope this was a helpful session for you to learn how to get started with some of the essential steps to get your practice working, setting up your services, your availability, your calendar, looking at the booking experience from the client's view, and then some of these integrations that we just looked at here as well. So on Thursday, I've called that session out a few times. I'm going to put the registration link in the chat if you haven't yet signed up for our part 2 session. And part 2, we're going to be reviewing forms, notes, and automations. So those will be the main things we're covering. So if you are just getting started, we definitely recommend that you join part 2, as those are also some essential steps to help you get set up as well. Okay. Wonderful. So the replay for this session, we are going to be sending out to you on Thursday, and that will be the replay for both today's session and the part 2 on Thursday. It'll also be up on our YouTube channel as well. I'll put a link to that in the chat. Our YouTube channel is a really great resource if you haven't checked that out yet. We have a variety of tutorial videos, feature deep dives, and obviously replays for these getting started sessions as well. We've put a couple of links in the chat throughout our time together for our help center. We're also in the replay email going to be sending you links for everything, but if you do want to check out the help center in the meantime, I've just put the link in the chat. It's just help.practicebetter.io. And then the last resource I wanted to share is actually our private Facebook group. So our private Facebook group is available for paid users of Practice Better. So if you decide to upgrade to a paid plan or you are on a paid plan, we would love to invite you to join the group. It's a really great way to find answers to your questions as well as support from your fellow, Practice Better community members and practitioners. Just a really nice way to connect and find inspiration as well. Okay. All right. I think that's everything. One last thing is just to say thank you so much for your time today, for joining the session. And in the replay email, we are going to be asking for any feedback you might have on the session today. We really value your thoughts on, how we're supporting you. It allows us to, just really keep tweaking and improving all of the sessions that we do for you. And so we would love your feedback. So I'll put that link in the chat too, but we will also send that out in the replay email that you'll get on Thursday. Okay, I think that's everything. Thank you so much again, everyone. And we will hopefully see you all on Thursday. Really encourage you to join that session as well. Okay.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Jen.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good day.